Nowadays, NBA betting odds are all over the place, and I myself don't bet or gamble any money, that's fine. So I look at these completely different than a lot of people. And that's why today I'm going to be using these numbers from a bunch of different articles, a bunch of different websites, and looking at kind of a good estimate at who's going to win the championship next season. First one we got to go with, obviously, ESPN. Now, disclaimer, part of the reason I like doing this is because this is a lot better in my mind than just like a ranking of like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This gives some disparity of like, here's the Celtics are plus 300. Then the second best team is plus 500 away. So it gives a lot more like information in that aspect. And so I'm not using this for like betting at all. This is just kind of a better way for me to look at who people think are going to win the championship. Obviously, it's going to be the Celtics. And I've got notes. I've got notes on notes on notes right here, okay? First of all, why are the Celtics not under? It's interesting to think that the Celtics are not completely under on this, given the fact that for ESPN specifically, they are 500 points, or whatever you want to look at it, ahead of the second place, which is OKC. Don't think they should be there. We'll talk about it later. But it's interesting to see that right here for the division, they are clearly under to win their division. Conference, not under to win their division. But the next one is like the Sixers at 375. Very interesting. I would have thought, not that 300 is like super high, but I would have thought they would have come in a little bit lower, maybe even like 100 or like negative, like 100 under. You know, it's very interesting to see that they're placed on ESPN at over 300, which is going to be the case for the rest of them. You'll see that. Now, the Thunder, maybe that's a good placement for them. I get it shows that they're like that far away from the Thunder or from the Celtics. Definitely going to be the number one seed in the West again, 100%. And by saying that, the best team in the West isn't always the first seed, but this is going to be the case this season, 100%. Last season, the Thunder, maybe not the best team in the West roster-wise. This year, they have constructed the best team in the Western Conference, and they will be the one seed. So I get that right there. That makes sense. But the fact that they have Philly tied with them, so effectively, that ESPN thinks that the Sixers are going to get the second seed in the East. I don't think that. And it says that they're on par. They have the same odds to win the championship as the Oklahoma City Thunder. I don't believe that. I think that's very interesting. Paul George does not move the needle for him. I am a Clippers fan. If this is your first video, I made a ton of videos on the Paul George situation, talking about the Clippers and their future. I don't think that Paul George moves the needle that much for the Sixers. So, I mean, he fits a very good role. He can do a lot of things for them offensively, maybe not defensively. They have a good, nice little big three going on, right? But if Giannis is healthy, the Knicks look really good. Like, who else is on there? Yeah, Knicks, Bucks. Who knows what the Heat are going to do, even though they're like odds 40-1. You know, the Celtics are still there, so it's like I don't think the Sixers are going to be really as good as people think that they're going to be. That's just how history goes for big threes, generally speaking. And not like crazy Golden State Warrior Heatles big threes. Like a big three that is a 34-year-old Paul George with an Embiid who's, and don't get me wrong, I like Embiid, but Embiid's hurt all the time, and then you got like a 22, 23-year-old Tyrese Maxey. Not really a big three. I don't think that they can do anything in the East, honestly. So it's interesting that they have them right there tied with the best team by far in the West. So that means if the Sixers win in the West, they are the best team by far. I don't think that's the case. The Knicks are also too high. I mean, I like the fact that they're high. I mean, they're 25 points just underneath the Thunder and the Sixers. But they're ahead of the Nuggets. I guess I get the fact that the Nuggets have like lost a lot. They lost Bruce Brown last year, was a huge loss for them. And then this year, I guess they lost KCP. They lose De'Ron Holmes, who got injured, but they get Dario Saric, they get Russell Westbrook. It just depends on how Jokic is playing. I don't know if you can get a fourth MVP. That would be ridiculous. Like the level of like rarefied air for that is crazy. So I don't know if he's going to be able to do that. But even then, the Knicks are over the Nuggets for that. I don't know if that's the good. I think the Knicks are on the same level, if not a little bit higher than the Timberwolves. If you flip the Knicks and the Nuggets for this one, and you put the Sixers somewhere not where they are now, I think this is a lot better of a list. But I do agree with the fact that the Thunder and the Nuggets are going to probably be the top two teams. Maybe not in terms of seeding. Thunder 100%. Nuggets might fall 2, 3, maybe 4. But Nuggets are definitely, with Nikola Jokic, the second best team in the West. The Timberwolves are right there. The Mavericks are also right there. The Lakers, I mean, even though it's a 25-1 odds, it jumps up. Now, this was made before, I believe, the Suns got Tyus Jones. Let me see the date on this. July 12th. Yeah, 100%. So, Tyus Jones changes a lot for Phoenix. Doesn't make them instant contenders, but man, getting a good point guard, which is the only thing they pretty much needed the entire time, along with the bench and maybe good coaching. That's a great move for them. So we'll stay posted on that. We'll see how that goes. Okay, FanDuel. This is where I like to see the Celtics are relatively in the same spot, 320. Thunder have better odds here than they did on the ESPN one, which sure I could take that. And now the Nuggets and the Sixers are the ones that are tied. So that makes a little bit more sense. And it's a three-way tie with the Knicks as well. So very, very interesting to see that as well. That the Knicks and the Sixers are closer. I think that's more realistic. You put the Sixers a little bit back out of the race of the Celtics just by a little bit, and the Knicks push them back a little bit based off the last ESPN ranking. They're around the same level. Knicks are very, very deep. They're very good. If they have health, which, I mean, if the Sixers have health as well, they're going to be very, very good. But the Nuggets, they're also in the same range where it's like you basically have the Nuggets who are relying on one player. I know we're talking about the big three, but Philly, you got to rely on Joel Embiid. If he goes down, you have Tyrese Maxey and Paul George. That's nothing in the Eastern Conference, especially against the Celtics or even against the Knicks. And the Knicks they have Brunson, they have a guy, but they have Mikal Bridges, bro. They just signed OG Anunoby, right? They got DiVincenzo. They got their nice core. Even though losing Hartenstein, for me, personally, is a big loss. So this is a little bit better of what I like. The Celtics are still on top. Let's see what, lower. Who's more? Timberwolves and the Mavericks having the same odds. I don't like that at all, especially when the Bucks are that far back. I just think having Giannis on the team is a deal breaker. He's one of those guys, one of the few actual superstars in the league. I think people throw around the word superstar way too often. That's a completely different video. But you have him on your team and he's 100% healthy. You can contend heavily every single year. So, especially adding Dame onto that, Chris Middleton's healthy. I think that's a little bit too low for the Bucks as well. But Mavericks, I get the fact that they just won the Western Conference and they just went to the finals, but having them over the Timberwolves is are at the same level. I don't think they're there yet. They lose Derrick Jones Jr. They get Quentin Grimes, Klay Thompson, one more guy that I'm forgetting about, but I don't know if that's where I want. Where are the Clippers at? Let's see. 600. We have worse odds than the Kings, Cavs, Warriors, Pelican. Wow. Oof. That's rough. Not that really matters. I don't think we're really going to contend, but who knows? Kawhi could just go stupid and we could beat some people. So, but he's got to be healthy. That's the whole point with Kawhi. This is a little bit better. This is a lot better, actually, than the ESPN one we just looked at. Now, this one from CBS Sports might be the best and the worst somehow at the same time. A lot of good things here that I like. A lot of really bad things that I do not like about this. Nuggets and the Timberwolves both leapfrog the Thunder, which is why? That doesn't make any sense. The Thunder are still 100% of the best team in the West from what we've seen, how they constructed the roster. I've already talked about that. But the Bucks jumped up and leapfrogged a lot of people. The Knicks dropped a lot down. The Sixers dropped way down, which is why I like it around that Lakers territory. Clippers always have better odds down there, obviously, which is a lot better. But then you go back to it's just why? Okay, why did Dallas and OKC have the same odds? Once again, I get Dallas went to the finals, but it's why? They lost their guys. Derrick Jones Jr. was huge for them, and they relied maybe a little bit too heavily on Derrick Jones Jr. and PJ Washington and Derek Lively playing out of their freaking minds, right? So maybe if Klay Thompson plays well, they can get to that point. But I don't think that, especially the Timberwolves and the Nuggets, don't leapfrog the Thunder like that. The Thunder are going to be probably going to. It might be Thunder Celtics. Just call it. Wrap it up right now. Playoffs are still going to be very good, very entertaining, like last year. But I do not agree with that. Once again, I do agree with Sixers dropping down. Knicks, I don't like that they're 600 points behind the the Mavericks. Like that doesn't make sense. Or behind the Bucks. Like it should be a little bit closer, not that far down. Just some minor tweaks, but overall, 100%. The freaking FanDuel one was the best by far overall. I think that's you can look at that and you can expect some very good things in coming into the season, like with those odds going into the playoffs and stuff like that. So I'm excited to see how this all plays out. We are still waiting on like Laurie Markkinen. We're still waiting on some other guys. Just like I said, Tyus Jones just signed to the Suns. That's a huge. I don't want to say like super team making stuff, but that's a pretty big deal. To just give them the point guard that they've been needing and the point guard that we've been saying that they need. And so they went out and got him like that. So, anyways, that's all I got for today, bro. I'm excited for the season to start. About 2 months, man. USA basketball's been fun, but I'm ready for the NBA. So, go Celtics, I guess.